I can increase the gain a little bit. I guess it should be better now. Okay, well, then I guess we can start. So, excited to have you all here. I'm Alex. I've been working as a developer relations in Plasmic not that long. I've joined quite recently. So I became a DevRel maybe like 6 months ago, and I've been working in the tech industry for over a decade, doing everything from programming to being a CTO. So over time, I just realized that what I enjoy the most is advocating for the tools I truly believe in. And Plasmic is one of those tools. It's the first low-code platform that I've worked with that actually made my development experience enjoyable rather than frustrating. And so basically, yeah, that's why I'm here, to help you and more people adopt low-code and no-code solutions in their work, no matter if you're a beginner or an experienced developer. If you're interested in any collaboration opportunities with Plasmic, feel free to reach me out via email or LinkedIn that you see on your screen. And yeah, now let's actually talk about the outline of this workshop. So this workshop is created for people who are either completely new to Plasmic or people who already have some experience but started fairly recently. So in the first part, which we're currently now at, we'll cover what Plasmic is, how to create an account, what workspaces and projects are. Next, we will set up a simple project with a landing page. We will do some very basic designs, go through the design basics in terms of the values, cover the layouts in Plasmic. We will learn what the section templates are and more. And after that, we will be creating a repository. This is optional for this specific episode, but still I wanted people to learn why they need it and why it is important, especially when you will have a project in the long run. That's a must. Then we will go through some SEO basics, because especially for marketing landing pages, that would be extremely important to have those in, so that your site performs good on the Google engines and other search engines. And lastly, but not in terms of the importance, we will have the deployments. So we will learn how to add a custom CNAME, how to publish, how to version the projects, and so on. So yeah. Before we begin, I think it would be good to show you this. I've attached some useful resources in this slide. So if you will ever need some documentation, or if you have any question about how Plasmic works, you can either go to our documentation. It's quite massive, and it has most of the answers to your questions. If it doesn't, then you can go to either forum or read and engage in our Slack community to get your answers. This is the studio link where we will be working today. I can post it in the chat if someone needs it. Otherwise, you can just type it in your URL bar. And our social medias. I would be really appreciated if you will follow us on social medias and like our posts. That will help to spread the word about the Plasmic even more. And with that aside, I think we can continue and try to understand what is Plasmic and how it can be used. So there are a lot of confusions about what Plasmic exactly is. In general, it is a visual builder for the web. it can be used in the variety of ways. If we are to categorize them, the three main ways to use Plasmic are as a no-code builder for creating stuff like landing pages, static websites, a low-code tool for building apps with external databases or internal ones if you're using Plasmic CMS. And lastly, it is a visual builder for React. It's basically a tool for React developers that allows you to visually build components while integrating seamlessly into your existing code base. So if that doesn't yet make some sense, let's go over each of those very briefly so that you can understand how Plasmic can be applied to different common business use cases and specifically to yours in the future. So Plasmic as a no-code tool is ideal for projects where you don't need complex user interactions and or a lot of dynamic functionality. So think of marketing landing pages, portfolio websites, or even design systems, like internal design systems. Those are the situations where content is mostly static or simply fetched from an external resource without heavy modifications. Because everything is managed with Plasmic's visual interface, non-developers can create and update pages without ever touching the code. So this means that you can iterate on designs and content very quickly and keep brand consistency in check. You can avoid bottlenecks that typically happen when you need engineering support for every minor change. So to sum up, it's a very powerful solution for marketing teams, for designers, or just for individuals who want to launch professional-looking websites, web experience with minimal hassle. So if you need more advanced capabilities than you see on your screen, Plasmic allows you to sort of like transition into low code. This implies that all of the coding will occur mostly within the studio. So for example, in the snippets or when you map the data. I will show you later on how does this happens. Plasmic retains its visual first approach, but allows you to incorporate external APIs here and there to manipulate the data or to create more complex state-based user interactions. So you still live in this no-code world, but you are putting like small pieces of code here and there to integrate your parts and make them dynamic. So these two features are ideal for use cases like internal tools and the rest of the use cases that you see on your screen. So you layer just enough code to handle these tasks, and you get best of the both worlds, like rapid visual development paired with the flexibility to add interactive elements or integrate with other services as needed. And so finally, for teams that need full control over complex interactions, Plasmic works seamlessly with a React code base. You can create and manage custom components in code and then expose them as building blocks in the studio for your designers or content editors. This approach is very well suited for enterprise scale applications and robust SaaS solutions. So any scenario demanding advanced state management, real-time data, or specialized logic. You can bridge visual editing with deep code integration, meaning that Plasmic basically provides a very highly collaborative workflow that lets you join both of the pipelines of development teams and designer teams and sort of join them in one place so that everyone is using the same concepts and language terms to describe the pieces of the work they produce. Yeah, so we will not cover this part in this workshop, but for sure in the next ones, I guess we will touch some of them, some of the aspects of Plasmic as a visual builder for React. So now that you know how, like, what are the categories, what your project belongs to, there's one last thing that I want to discuss before we start building. It's some concerns that surround these categories. So since Plasmic is neither of those, but it still has the concerns of all of those. And you need to understand the weaknesses and strengths of the tool that you're picking. Therefore, we're being very transparent on what you can expect in the future. So this is C-Link. If you haven't understood, I tried to find another image, but that was the best one that I came up with. So usually what prevents people from building with low code and no code tools? You can start out strong. You can build 95% of your application, but at some point you understand that you just can't finish your project because the platform does not support, like, complex charts. And then the only way to get out of this situation is to just rebuild everything from scratch. And this is called complexity ceiling. A second one is when low code or no code platform creates a very messy source code for your website and it grows in size. The project just becomes unmaintainable. So you are not able to scale your work properly when it comes to going from literally 100 users to, let's say, 1 million users. So this is the second concern. Like, it's hard to organize and scale your work in some platforms. Well, and the last one, but not the least in importance, is the thing that in the long run, it might cost you a fortune to support a solution that is built with a no-code platform. And so Plasmic directly addresses all of those issues with its flexible nature. So since you are always able to move from one way of using it to another, you'll never hit the complexity ceiling or have issues with scaling or with the cost of the infrastructure, because it's built with the intent of integrating so deeply with the code base in a way that does not lock you in with the solution. So you build initially in Plasmic, and after that, you are actually able to do anything with your source code, which most of the low-code and no-code platforms don't offer because they are, afraid of losing customers. But in my opinion and in our opinion, if you outgrew the platform, well, then you need to have an option to go away. And by saying that Plasmic allows you to transition from one way of doing things to another, this is not like a real transition. I mean more something like just a mental way of how you attempt to do things. So you don't really need to turn off like the mode button or something. Okay, so I hope you haven't got too bored with my gibberish. Maybe you have some questions. We can quickly go through some of them before we jump into building. Hi, Lincoln. Nice to see you here. Okay, well, if we don't have much questions, I guess we can continue. So let me pull up my projects. First and foremost, what I would like to do is I'd like to explain what is the concept of what are the main concepts of Plasmic overall. So let me first sign out. Of course, in order to work in Plasmic Studio, you would need to have an account. If you don't, I suggest you to create one now. Just sign up with Google. I'm usually not using the email authentication because it's plain faster. I actually see one question on LinkedIn. What's the benefits of Plasmic in compare with the other CMS like WordPress? WordPress, well, first of all, WordPress is based on PHP, and I overall find it easier to integrate modern solutions like React into Node.js, Next.js frameworks, and Plasmic is based on Next.js if you will host it elsewhere outside of Plasmic hosting. So you get a modern tool stack that you don't need to worry with, like that it will go outdated in like even 5 years. Second of all, I think that WordPress is quite heavy. Like it has a ton of different stuff that works not very well. If you are not a WordPress expert, it's quite complex to get your website optimized for the SEO engines. And overall, if I remember correctly, last time I was working with WordPress, it was a nightmare to also handle the different translations, and it doesn't look that good in 2025 in terms of the interface. With Plasmic, on the other hand, first of all, you're free to pick your database, so you don't necessarily need to do everything in Plasmic CMS. You are able to pick your favorite, even like Airtable, Supabase, and then you have your front-end and back-end separated, which makes it, a great way to later on pick a different framework if you don't like Plasmic. So, which you don't have this option with WordPress, basically. So yeah. By the way, we also provide the integrations with WordPress, so you are able to fetch the data from GraphQL from an existing WordPress website and migrate to Plasmic. Okay, so let's sign in. First things that you see on your screen is you see the organizations on your left side, you have your projects, and you have your workspace. And this little box. So it gets missed quite often, and if you're a newbie in Plasmic or you're just starting, I highly recommend to go over all of them. They are very exciting to learn with, especially this one. It's like we can go and quickly see what it is. So basically we created a way to learn different concepts of Plasmic by just playing this game. You can navigate through the different screens using page down and page up, basically. And in order to pass each level, on each level you will learn some concepts of Plasmic. It's, I don't know, it's a nice challenge. I always like when you can play something and learn. So yeah, check this out. And another place which is sort of hidden, let's say, it's in our examples. So let me search them. They might be a little bit outdated. No, not this one. Example projects. This one, yeah. So some of them might be a little bit outdated, but still, it's worth taking a look on how this was built or trying to reproduce this. You can always check out the Plasmic project and see the composition of each element, and then see how it was built by someone else. Oh, by the way, a fun fact. If you didn't know, Plasmic Studio was actually built using Plasmic Studio. So we dog food quite a lot. So basically that means that we have a Plasmic kit. It's a framework which we internally use. It has visual elements from which some of the elements in our studio are built. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing more, ping me on Slack and I will explain how that is done. Okay, so more about the studio itself. So organizations is the top level of the hierarchy of the entities in Plasmic. This is where you store the billing plans. It contains the user roles, users, and workspaces. So nothing too complex. Then the organization can have multiple workspaces. This is a logical separation for projects that you have in your company. Let's say you can have different distribution of them. So the best practice in this case might be, let's say, to store UI kits and libraries in one workspace, and then the landing pages in a second workspaces, and your real website in a third workspace. And each can have different permissions and different members assigned to that workspace. So a workspace contains projects and integrations. Integrations is a way to store the data or to fetch the data from different places. I don't think we will go too deep into this in this example. Maybe we will just integrate the Plasmic content management system if we'll have enough time. And as for the projects, this is the basic unit which is representing the website or the application that you're trying to build. So any website would be a project. A project can also be a library with the components that can be reused in different projects. This implies that one project can be imported into another project. Again, this is advanced topic, but still it's always interesting to know the capabilities beforehand. So let's create our first project. You can, whenever you click this button, new project, you will see a list of templates that you're able to pick from, or just use them for the inspiration. We will go with a blank one, just so that we can experience the whole process of creating everything from scratch. By default, it will create the empty project for you with the name of the template. It has only the home page in the beginning and 2 elements on it. So before we start to do any UI work, I'd like to first show you what we will get in the end. So we will have a simple banner with some buttons, a block with, let's call it, I don't know, ideas or values of the company, and some upcoming events, and the block with a call to action. As you might have figured, this is sort of a landing page for the event management platform. So let's begin. I will leave it open, so we can delete these two. And let's try to add the section templates first. Oh, actually, before I begin, last thing, I promise you. There are a few concepts of building blocks in Plasmic. So we have pages, which basically represent the web pages that you can access from your browser. And we have arenas. We'll not go deep into that. Doesn't really matter at this point. And components. So in the insertion panel on the left sidebar, everything that you see, most of the things that you see, except for the section templates and code libraries, is a component. So a component is a basic atomic structure that you are able to reuse across your pages. So basically, dragging a component into the page creates an instance of that component, an element. So it would be important to distinguish both of them, so that you know the difference, because I will use those terms quite often later in the video. So we will, for now, operate with the existing elements, with the existing components, with the basic ones that Plasmic provides. And Plasmic also provides the templates. So basically, it is a set of elements that you can copy into your page. So it doesn't create a component, but it just copies the same banner, let's say, that you see on your screen. So we will drag this one first. Oh, now it is. So yeah, that happens. So first of all, let's try to replace the image of our banner. So we can do that by picking our free box on the top of the page and going in the right sidebar to the design tab and clicking the background. And then in the image section, we can hit the replace image. We will find our image on Unsplash. So let's search for some concerts. That will suffice. And then just copy image. Make sure that if you don't have a Unsplash Plus, pick the free button, pick the free images. So pasting it in here will automatically resize the image and change the format so that it's WebP. It's a format that is acceptable for most of the browsers, and it is best for the performance when it comes to search engines. So let's also change the title. Ready for your next event. Get started with us. I don't like this link, so we can remove it. Okay, so far so good. Now that we know that how to add the section templates, let's call our vertical stack. Let's call our banner. We can rename it by clicking the right button and then hitting rename. Alternatively, you can just double click the element. So we can call it banner, just for ourselves to understand what happens in the left sidebar. And now let's add the vertical stack. Let me quickly explain what it is. So basically, in web, if you're not familiar with the grid system or flexbox system, all of the blocks have some directions. So in this case, consider it as a table row. So everything that you will add will be added one below another. So this is the vertical stack. And horizontal stack means that this is something like a table row. If you will add columns into it, they will stack horizontally. So we can change in the layout how it will look, how they will distribute in the vertical or horizontal view. We can change it in here, the type of this stack. And since we are trying to build something like this, it will transition into a one vertical stack that will surround this whole content, and two horizontal stacks that will contain the image and the title. Let's actually try to reproduce this on our example. So we will need one more horizontal stack. Quick hint, you can actually hit the button V or H and then just insert them into the page. I'm just showing this for everyone to understand. Yeah, so let's create two boxes inside this one. So again, one vertical stack. And then in here, let's try to insert the heading. Global sounds, local stages. So we don't need to go like exactly one-to-one with this mockup, I think. So I guess let's go with the 48 pixels. That should be enough. And pick the extra bold. Okay, so we're done with the heading. And now, if we will click the text, the T button, it will add the text right below it. So I have the text prepared in here, and I will just copy it. So for now, you see that it stretches for the whole width of the block, and we can just limit to the 50% and add some padding or margin. So if you want to space your elements, you need to go to the spacing and just increase the margin on the side that you want to have, on the side that you want to have the margin. Okay, so does this thing need some changes? No, I think it should be fine. Maybe adjust the color a little bit so that it's not that blurry. Okay, so it starts to shape up. Now we need to add another block to this row, and it will be an image. So image it will be occupying 50%. So the width needs to be stretched, meaning it's taking the full width, but maximally it can take the half of the block. And then let's try to search for the image that would be appropriate for this one. What was this? Some stage. Oh, this one. Okay, so I also see that it has some rounded corners in here, so we can add them in here. If you will scroll down, you will see the corner radius, and we can we can enter any value that you want. I think 15 pixels would be more than enough. Okay, so I think that this block needs to be stretched a little bit. We might want to set the standard width to this amount, maybe less. Maybe like something like this. And we can actually save this as a token. So tokens is a way to store your CSS values or like design values globally, so that you can reuse them in other places. This is very useful for storing the dimensions of your website, of your container, or colors, or basically almost anything. So we will call it container width, and the maximum width that it can take is container width. Actually, it should be stretch wide, but the maximum width needs to be container width. Yeah, like this. And last thing that we need to do in this horizontal stack is to actually set the layout to center. So you see how it changed the position. Great. So now we have it. And now let's copy this whole thing and just switch the places, and that's basically it. So you don't need to do anything else besides this. So if you want to add the gap in between the image and the text, you have the column gap in here. You can also enable the wrap function, so that if the layout will go shorter on the mobile, then you would automatically get the so the elements will automatically jump into the next line. We need to do the same thing in here. And let's set that 25 pixels, maybe less actually. 45%. 25 pixels. Oh, not this one, sorry, this one. 25, and here again 45% for the width, and column gap needs to be 25 pixels as well. Oh, and we need to center it. I believe that the original mockup also had a bigger margin in between the rows, so probably we also need to do this. Great. Let's change the image for the last one. It's like people at the concert. Oh, I will also change the text so that it matches with the mockup, so that we have a better understanding of the content. It's always great to use the real content when you are working on a website, because otherwise, eventually, you might end up in a situation where you don't really know, where you used the standard lorem ipsum content, and when you start to embed your real content, it doesn't just fit because of the nature of the images or the length of the text. So yeah, just a quick tip. The last thing that I would probably want to do is to maybe set the maximum width for the text in here and in here, because it looks a little bit different from what I envision. So, and layout needs to be like this. Great. So now, as we have these, let's actually try to create another block. So we will call this one values, company values, and we will create the block with the upcoming events. So let's actually again create a vertical stack, or actually you can create a page section. So the difference in this case, actually I need to convert all of them to page section, because this is, in terms of the SEO, a bit more friendly, because you separate your different areas of your website with the different tags. So a section in this case means that we started a new block of content. Oh, I see some questions in the chat. How did you copy the vertical stack and paste? Actually, if you just if you select the vertical stack or horizontal stack, you can just press Command C or Control C if you are on Windows, and then just select the place where you want to insert it, and then press Control V, and that will copy it. You can also copy it from other projects on other websites. So if I, let's say, open another project with a different ID that I own and copy the element from that project into this one, it will still work. Alternatively, you can go with the right click and copy and paste. I hope that answered the question. And yeah, thank you, Mike. Still kicking. We're trying to get better and better. So yeah, where did I finished? Sections. Sections are good for SEO. I suggest you to read some maybe basic articles about how different HTML tags affect your rankings. We have a way to render element as any HTML tag, so be careful with that. So if you're really into marketing, you might be already familiar with this, but if you're fairly new to HTML and web overall, HTML tags is basically a basic thing that you see in most of the websites. So let's say if I were to open Unsplash and inspect it, so like everything is built using those HTML tags in the end. So Plasmic is no exception. We render all of the elements into the HTML tags in the end, first to React and then to HTML tags. And as you can see, like you have an element and it has a header, And this is affecting SEO ranking, meaning the Unsplash might get a better chance of getting this image higher in the search results. So yeah, repeatable content. We can start with the horizontal stack. I'll press the H button and insert it. And well, first of all, let's set the width for our max width for our content to be the same as for the previous element. So container width. Oh, it's min width, sorry. Max width. And then in here we just stretch. Stretch full bleed and stretch wide, there is a slight difference. So you might notice when you hover over this element that you see a green padding on the, like surrounding the content. This is padding. If you're not familiar with CSS, you have a few layers of spacing of the elements. So the internal one is the width. It's what you see in this dashed container. The external one is the margin. It's the distance to another element or to the border of the page. And then the padding is the spacing which pushes the content inside. So margin pushes everything from the element to another element, and padding basically creates the space around the content. It's kind of hard to grasp, but I guess if you will try to play around, you will get it. Mostly if you want to, I will show you in the example of card how padding can be used and how margin can be used. So let's start by adding our vertical stack. As you might have noticed, these two guys are your best friends in Plasmic, so you will use them most of the time, regardless of what you're trying to build. And let's try to start to build our card. We can start with setting the maximum width for it. I want it to be around 300 pixels. And well, it contains the image for sure. So we will go to plus button and search for the image component. Okay, did that. Then heading. We can copy this one as it already contains the, actually there is no need for that. Just go here and hit enter. It will automatically add the heading. Let's call it Guitar Night. And the text. Press the button T and insert it in here. Okay, well, it looks like crap, but we're just starting. Let's upload the image so that we have a better understanding of what we're working with. It can be a random guitar image, doesn't really matter. Also, if you didn't know, you are able to filter the image by the landscape. So pick the portrait one. For this use case, it would be better. So let's copy it. Let's close this annoying thing and insert it. So I copied the image and I'm hitting Command V to paste it in here. So I don't save it anywhere. I don't have to copy the URL. Nothing way too complex. Okay, so we have it here. Let's probably maybe limit the height of the image By the way, I have the second laptop where I see the mockup so that I don't have to close the website. I don't really remember by memory what I need to do. So yeah, it should be something like this. I don't have the values, unfortunately, so we will do an exprompt in here. So the size should be 100%. And this one, I guess, maybe 32 pixels should be enough. 28 should be okay. And let's set the margins. Oh no, actually no. So a quick hack. We will start to add the shadows in here. To do that, you would need to go into the element that you want to add shadow for. You need to go to the Design tab and then scroll down to Shadows and click the plus button. Outset means that the shadow spreads around the element, inside that it spreads into the element. 99% of the time you don't need the inset. So 40% is enough for this one. We would not change any of the other elements, but you can play around with them. It's fairly fun to observe. So again, you can pick the color, you can pick the transparency of the shadow, and this is what you end up with. We will not add the border to this card because the shadow already functions sort of as a border for this case. Now, if you want to actually have, if you want to remove the padding on the top of the image and on the bottom of the image, or on the sides of the image, you need to pick the container and turn off the padding. So just remove the padding value. So click here and remove the padding. This will reset the value to the default one. For the padding, default one is obviously 0, nothing. Okay, but now we don't have the padding in here. What should we do? If you will press Shift and click another element, you will be able to select multiple elements at once. Actually, you can do the same in here. So if you will press the studio, you can see that they are highlighted in blue. So when they are both selected, hit the right click the elements and do wrap in container and select the vertical stack. And this will automatically wrap the elements with a container. Now we will be able to add the padding around the content. So let's paste the text that I have prepared here. Yeah, that should be it. We can also add some border radius. So you don't need to have a border to have a border radius. Oops. Corner radius, 15 pixels. It's better to be consistent when we're talking about border radiuses. Oops. You see that it added the corner radius in here, but it didn't in here. And this is why, why this is happening. Because the element that you added the radius to, by default, allows you to overflow, allows the content to be overflown. This means that everything that, let's say, has a width or height more than an element radius or like size, the parent element size, it will be not hidden, it will be just there. And a way to change this is this setting called overflow. If you will zoom in, the icon explains this probably better than I do. So we need to set it to hidden. And the immediate moment we set it, you see that now it also has the corner radius in here. Perfect. So now we have our one element. Now we just need to do the same thing. We can copy it 3 times. Let's align it in center, set the columns gap to 25 pixels. And I would say that we need to add some margin to that section. I want to show you one tip. So if you will hit in here and type 0 and enter, you will be able to change the value without doing this mouse movement, which is quite annoying sometimes because I can't get it to work correctly. Yeah. So, and the final touch would probably to add some padding on the bottom, which would be an increased one. So you can also do the shift click to edit both values at once. Yeah. So, and now it's also probably a time to show a different feature. So you can right click an element and you can copy your styles. So just go to the copy and copy style. You also have a shortcut for it, which is Command Option C. I'm on Mac. In Windows you might have another value. So, and now you're able to paste the styles with the same Command Option V. And you see that all of the styles that we applied for this vertical stack just got copied to another element, and we don't have to manually apply it to the again. So it can be quite useful when you want to style a lot of elements at once, and you have a lot of repeatable elements in specific. So let's do the same thing in here. Perfect. So yeah, more photos, piano. And then let's say cello. Does anyone plays music? Like, you can type 1 in the chat. I'm actually a music fan myself, so part of the reason why I chose this example. I actually was quite fascinated by the fact that one of our co-workers or designer, his relative just won a Grammy, and this was like put in a way that almost like, well, hey, yeah, we've been on a barbecue last weekend, and it's like, well, hey, my brother just won a Grammy, and I was like, what? Oh, I see Summerfell Studio. Nice. I was doing that too. Maybe like 5 years ago. I now moved to another DAW. It's called. I'm mostly working in Logic Pro right now. So yeah. Oh, I forgot that I forgot to add the header to this section. So let's call it recent events and add a section in here. We can actually copy it from here so that I don't have to style it again. In this kind of situation, you might find yourself not really wanting to drag it all the way to the top. So there is this thing called move to the beginning of the container. if you're good with hotkeys, you can do this quite fast. I'm just okay, I will show you how this can work. So now let's actually leave it in here, or no. Okay, I need to try to figure out why this is happening. So I'm having this as a element. This is the doc layout. It's actually easier to just wrap it in the horizontal layout. Oops. Horizontal stack, vertical stack, yeah. Then the full bleed, and this, yeah, perfect. So and some margins on the bottom. So we're ready to move to the last block. It's relatively easy, and we have it in our section templates. So let's go again. It's in here. It's call to action. Call to action is a block that you would usually put in the beginning of your page and in the end of your page. So this prompts a user to do some action when he already went through your content. So usually you would put something like a transition to the next page or a form. I see someone asking in the chat how to do a page transition. It's like, it's not very advanced. I can show you how to do that, especially keeping in mind that we already done with the UI for this page. Well, it's not exactly one-to-one, but I hope that you've got the general gist of how you can use Plasmic to create elements and how you can play around yourself with different types of layouts, how you can nest the elements. So later on, if you want to reuse some of the elements, you can actually convert them into your components. So because these are the components that we provide, and you are able to have your components, which, let's say if you have multiple pages, you can add them on a multiple page with different properties, let's say. So if we are to convert this into a component, we can select it and create component. We can call it event preview, and this will create a component for us. You see that instead of this full list of elements, it is now a one element, because everything that is inside is, well, it's basically isolated in here. And this is an advanced thing. I will not go too deep into this, but like you can add some props in here, saying like title, for example. And if you want to have an image, you can click on the image in here and allow external access by creating a new prop, and you call it image. And in order to connect the title, you can hit the dynamic value and you have your title. So for now, there's nothing here. You can have the preview value as Guitar Night. And now if we will go to the home page, instead of editing it on the page, you would be able to pass it as a prop in here. There are pros and cons to these methods. I think that if you come from the Figma world, you might be familiar with the concept of components. If you have some questions about the differences of elements and components, I would be happy to help and answer all of those questions. So yeah, back to the question with the different pages. So if you want to create a new page, so go to this drop down on the left side and hit new page. The page name can be, let's say, services, or like contact us. It would be an empty page. By the way, we can demo how the component works. So it's event preview. You can have another guitar night. So you can reuse this component on different pages without having to copy all of those elements from one place to another. And if you want to change the design of this element, of this component, you are able to do that in a centralized manner. This is why components are needed, basically. So, and if you want to go to the Contact Us page, just, well, if this is a button, you have this href, and you do this Contact Us. Target is a blank or self. It's like whether it is opening in the new tab or not. Or you can add a link, destination, delete this, and just select Contact Us. Go to Contact Us. Let's actually try to preview it. So if you will scroll down and click it, it will go to another page. That's it. Nothing way too complex. If you're talking about the animated page transitions, that's a more complicated topic, because for that you would need to create your own backend, and this might actually be a good idea for some separate topic later on going on. So now, as we're done with our landing page, let's actually try to publish it. So in order to do that, you need to hit the publish button. Let's wait for it to load. Don't uncheck this one. You need this. Let's start with the Plasmic hosting. So this is not just for the So this is for the Plasmic hosting. You would need to configure the domain name that you will have in the end, and the subdomain can be either on Plasmic Run. That would be a free domain that we provide for you. So let's say a workshop example, and yeah, we will save the subdomain, and that's it. If you have a free account, I have a free account that I am demoing from, you will have a made in Plasmic badge, and you are able to remove it if you will upgrade to another plan. So this is mostly suitable for either personal projects or for something that is in development. You are also able to upload the fav icon that you see in here on the top of your browser. So these small thingies. And if you want to add your own custom domain, you would need to bring your, you would need to go to your hosting panel and actually enter the CNAME, copy the CNAME from our studio into your hosting panel. So this is for sure is used somewhere, but I will. I don't remember how to trigger this. How to trigger this? Oh, here it is. Oh wait, what? Correctly configured. Okay. Let's say github.com. All right. Yeah. Of course. Add custom domain. So now it will prompt you with the CNAME. So you have the CNAME plasmicdev.com, and you would need to add it to your DNS provider in order to continue. Otherwise, it will tell you that this is an invalid configuration. So now remove this, as we don't really need this. Yeah, and now it will deploy to the workshop example plasmic.run. So another thing that we probably want to do is to push to GitHub. It's optional, you don't need to do this, but maybe for the future, if that would be that might be useful for you, especially if you want to later on play around with cursor and create some code components. So click the connect GitHub. I already have my account logged in, so probably it will load the organization instantly. Let's call it event landing page. Oh, sorry, I have another window opened, and that's why it's trying to type there. Event platform. It should be private so that other people are not looking at your data when you're building. Well, overall, it's most of the times it's good to have your source code private. The modes is again, it's an advanced topic. Let's probably not too deep. Let's not dive too deep into this. So the main difference is that loader fetches your components on the server side, and you are not storing your components in your code base, so in your repository. CodeGen is for advanced use case. It's for the really sophisticated applications where you need to have that. It stores all of your generated components with the code and all of the stuff in your repository. Another quick hint is that loader might be a little bit slower, but it is easier in terms of the configuration, and we generally recommend the loader pattern more. So let's save the repository information. It will create a new repository for us. If you want an existing one, if you wanted to save into an existing one, pick this one. So now, if we will click on this link, it will actually get us to our new repository. You will actually able to explore the steps of how it will create the application after we will actually push it. You also have the webhooks. It's very useful for it's very useful for deploying to Vercel, as you can actually automatically deploy to Vercel via webhooks. Also, I stated that CodeGen is faster than Loader in terms of the SSG. It's not exactly true. They are almost the same. So not always, they are the same. So if you're considering the performance, I would say that they are most likely similar. So I will publish it. It says that you may close this pop-up. You can. So as of now, I will read the messages from chat. Can you change the color of the page background? Yeah, for sure. So for that, you just need to select the page, go to the design, and you have a background in here. So you can add a background color. So pick any that you want. It's the same way as if you would add the background image. So let me actually, I think it deployed already at this point. If we will update our list of repositories, I see, oh, it's still here. Yeah, it's still building. but it is already available on our Plasmic hosting. So yeah, if you want, I can send it into the chat. You can access it, or just copy the like type the URL from the URL bar. So a bit more about the, okay, so it's ended up building. We have our Next.js application. It's not related to hosting. They are unrelated. Just I already mentioned that this is optional, but maybe you would want to know how to do that. It wasn't a very too complicated topic to cover. So I would also want to highlight the published versions. So whenever you publish something, it gets saved in here. So you don't necessarily need to deploy it to your production website, but you would probably want to stage different versions of your project so that you can roll back to another project version just in case. I would say that this is a good way to version your work. You can edit the descriptions, you can add tags later on. And yeah, I think that we can wrap up around this point. Maybe, yeah, I see another question. Can you show how to set up the slider carousel component to take data from Plasmic CMS? For example, 3 images with the title or something similar with using data from Plasmic CMS. Yeah, it's not a very basic topic, but since we are answering the questions in the live mode as well, I guess we can cover that. So for you to use the Plasmic CMS, you need to go to CMSs and click CMS Data Loader. This will install all of the CMS components for you, basically. You would need to go to your dashboard. So let me pull it up here. And you would need to copy the values from your integration. So a CMS ID, a public token, and that's it. Locale can be empty because we don't have locales in my studio, in my content management system as of this moment. And then you would be able to use the CMS data fetcher. So by default, it fetches the first table in the database, as far as I'm aware. Model. I'm not sure if I configured it correctly. CMS ID, CMS public token, locale. Yeah, seems to be correct. So why does it not show the models? Or maybe I need to reload this. Yeah, let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. So I just needed to reload this. Usually, if you don't have the settings, and then you just need to reload the page so that it applies to the component. So as you see, the model is event. I only have one model in my CMS. The mode is that it fetches rows, like the actual data, not the count of the data. You can set the filters that you want. I think I have a few fields in here: title, preview, image, description. So let's say you wanted to have a carousel, right? Slider carousel. So it needs to be inside the CMS data fetcher. Now, if you will just replace this image with a CMS entry field. Oh, CMS entry image, actually. You actually have your image inside your slider carousel. Well, then the rest of the stuff is just to fix the styles for the image that you have in your carousel. Then you also are able to move your fields in here. In my workspace, in my model, I only have one record. It's called Workshop. This is the image, this is the title, this is the description. So I hope that was helpful. If you think like you have more questions, feel free to ask. So let's just delete them and let's add more of them. So yeah, in theory, that should work. Like if we will go to interactive mode, that should be clickable. Yeah, I'm not sure about the slider carousel component, to be honest, because I haven't used it. But the general gist of the stuff should be more or less clear. So this is how you display the data from the CMS. Any more questions? I hope you enjoyed the whole thing, and I hope that we will host more of these soon. So I would really appreciate if you leave any feedback in Slack or forum or wherever on media, and I will be happy to see you in the next episodes. Thanks a lot. I'll wait for maybe a few more minutes for additional questions, and I will turn this off. This video will stay in record. And yeah, you can copy an existing website. I don't think I have it hidden, unless it's in my personal repository, but still. Yeah. Well, I guess in the next episode we were planning to show more of the design tricks. So share by link is enabled. Yeah, so you are able to have this. Let me just send it to the chat. Here we go. I have a bit of a delay, so yeah. I don't remember if I mentioned this. So we will keep the record online for the future use, and we were actually thinking of maybe hosting another version for the Asian time zone, just because we have a lot of users on the Asian time zone. Thanks everyone. Post your ideas about the next episodes in Slack. Maybe you will provide something interesting. We were also planning to maybe stream how we play with Cursor and Plasmic. We did some test runs and it was quite interesting. So yeah.